Hey everybody, welcome to another Meet the Actor interview. Today I'm joined by MJ Dixon,
Oh,
which I'm sure many of you recognise, especially in the British film industry. But your first question is, how did you first get into acting?
well, like I've always said that I have kind of like an accidental actor's resume. So I guess, like a lot of people, when you start off on low budget, you kind of end up being involved in stuff as an actor just by pure accident. So a lot of the times, it would just a role would need to be filled in something. And one of my very first film jobs was just acting in like what was like a very kind of cheap student film for like a local filmmaker, and that kind of led me to think that I wanted to go on to make films. But then over the years, I've just kind of ended up accidentally being in stuff, kind of via being involved in some kind of production capacity. So quite often I'd be helping out with gaffering or lighting or something like that, and they'd say, "Oh, we need someone to be
A
to
dead
be
body
this
in the
or
corner.
that." And so over the years, I've kind of actually weirdly like honed some acting skills just purely from people thrusting me into this into the spotlight, and not wanting to let them down. I've kind of blagged my way through it for the most part, and ended up with a little bit of a resume, as
Yeah.
an actor.
So you generally tend to appear in most of your own films, but outside of your own films, do you remember what your first role was?
Oh man, I don't know. I can't remember. I played a character in like a slasher film when I was about 16, but I don't really remember what the character was called or anything really. I don't honestly don't really remember what the film was about, if I'm really honest with you. But I remember it was set in the woods. But outside of that, like the first time I did some proper acting, I played a character called Noah, I think he was called. It was in like a LGBT kind of short, and it was like the first time I'd ever done any proper acting. Someone cast me basically on how I looked, and the director's called Cameron. He's a really lovely guy, and we worked on production stuff together, and he cast me because I looked how he imagined the character to be.
Yeah.
But they gave me like 5 days of like intensive work on working out who this character was going to be, and it was like the first time I ever sat down and like when I was acting in a scene, all of a sudden it wasn't just kind of for a laugh. I was really putting across a counter perspective to the other actors and stuff, and I found that really, really interesting. And so that was kind of my first schooling in really, really being an actor. And I think I was in my early 20s at this point. And so that was the first thing that I really think was like a proper acting job that I did, in terms of, of doing it more than, just for fun, I guess.
So how long have you been doing it roughly then? So that's about 20 years?
The weird thing is I never really consider myself an actor, like ever. But so I've probably been, I mean, I'd started doing bits and bobs when I was about 16, and then I did a lot of student films, kind of by necessity, really. I'd tend to get cast by when I was, because there was a class of about 15 of us all making films, and so I'd tend to get an email going, "Could you just come down and play this part or something?" But yeah, like so, yeah, I've probably been doing it. I mean, not purposefully, I guess, for about 20 years, I guess.
Not bad though, is it? Considering it wasn't something you didn't want to do.
I always like when actors complain on my sets, I go, "Hey, this is the best fun this is the best job on the set, so be careful." So it's kind of it's great fun. I do enjoy it a lot.
So what have you worked on is the next question. So what have you worked on, currently working on? And I'll say what I always say to everybody. We're obviously in lockdown, so what do you plan to work on?
Well, I mean, I guess I've worked on quite a lot of kind of short film things. To be honest, I find it really difficult to remember my own resume when it comes to being an actor. But I recently played a cannibal hunter in a feature, which was quite good. I'm literally going to have to refer to my IMDb now. But I've done some various things recently. I starred in I was a business owner in a film called Midsummer Boulevard. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of films for a filmmaker called Jason Impey. Literally to the point where sometimes we film maybe 5 or 6 in a day. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard for me to remember what characters I played in which things. But I've played like abusive husbands, and I always get cast. This is the weird thing that I always say is. So I used to get cast as like handsome man, or good-looking patron or good-looking barman or something like that. In my early 20s, and now I get cast as like rapist or like abusive husband, or like horrible man-eating cannibal or something like that. And so that that's kind of tends to be the general. I get cast as slasher villains quite a lot. I don't really know why, because that tends to be something that I'm interested in as a director. Yeah. But for some reason, a lot of other filmmakers go, "Oh, you're really into slasher films. Do you want to come and play a slasher villain?" So I kind of find myself going, "Yeah, of course." So that's kind of the kind of stuff I've been doing recently. I acted in a web series, which was my favourite thing for quite a long time. We had our own web series let's go back about 10 years now, but it was like a series of comedy shorts that we did. And I was really struggling to get kind of early iterations, the performances out of other actors that I wanted. So I found it much easier just to step in and kind of do the kind of free-flowing comedy stuff that I wanted myself. That was a lot of time, but it was taking me away from my other work quite a lot. So over time that fizzled out. But I was also in Maria Lee Metheringham's Bite Night as the punk recently, which was amazing. So such good fun. So I really enjoyed doing that. But going forward, so I recently played the character of Nightman in Nightman Meltdown, Nightman 4 Meltdown, which is really strange because I played a character called Luke in Nightman 3, I think it was, who was like a victim in that film. But then they liked working with me apparently on that, so I got brought in as Nightman, and then I've been cast as. They've written a feature film version of it recently, so today. It's hard to describe.
Okay.
As the character comes to in a kind of very meta way, I suppose. So that's kind of what, as an actor, what I'm forward to doing next, I guess, is the Nightman feature.
Okay. So, as an actor, even though you don't classify yourself as an actor, though you have got a pretty big regime of acting things. So, what advice do you give to upcoming actors and people wanting to get into the film industry?
Well, I think it's really interesting. So, I mean, one of the reasons I even accept acting roles at all is because I think it's important as a filmmaker to understand stuff from that perspective, because I think it's important that you know what you're asking actors to do, and how they could potentially feel about that. Are you giving them enough direction? Are you giving them too little? Are you not telling them enough? Because I know what I want as an actor, and so I apply that back to my work. And so I think one of my main pieces of advice that I give to actors is to try and step onto the other side of that and look at how filmmakers perceive actors. Try working with actors other actors as a filmmaker, and you'll suddenly see, oh, right, so that's quite frustrating when an actor doesn't listen in that way, or that was good when an actor came and asked me those kind of questions. I maybe I should do that with other filmmakers. And I think understanding each other's craft is like imperative to having a good working relationship.
Sound advice. So I know it's going to be a lot to this, so it's time to promote yourself. You got YouTube channel, website, social media, whatever it is. Promote.
Yes, so if you go to myco.co.uk, mycho.co.uk, we have a load of stuff there. All our films, our shorts, comic books. We have all sorts of things there. We also we have a Patreon, which you can get to through the website, or it's patreon.com/myco, where we produce short form content. So we produce, I think currently we're producing 4 new short films a year with kind of making of stuff that gets released around that. We also have a podcast that kind of covers actors who've appeared in the films that we've made and stuff like that, and just kind of talks to them a bit more in depth about that kind of process and things like that. And we have 2 films out on one just came out on June 2nd in America, Pandemonium, about a serial killer who wears a big panda head and has a want to murder strippers. And we have a slightly more serious kind of family drama crossed with a 70s haunted house movie called The Haunting of Molly Bannister, which is out on the 22nd of June on DVD. Or you can watch it early on iTunes now, I think.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks for your time, and we will end this